Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. This is going to be a short chill stream, but I am very proud to announce that I'm finally working with somebody that we've played a great deal of Twitter tag with. That would be European Lore. European Lore, welcome to the show. You and I always don't have the same takes, but I think that we are part of the same fandom. I respect the work that you do, and I just want to say welcome to the show.
West Hall, and thank you very much for inviting me.
So I noticed a lot of your Twitter activity today. I noticed some of your videos. Again, we are not tonally aligned, and this is not an echo chamber. I do think it's important that we hear each other, and sometimes we will use our outside voices inside, and that's okay. Speaking of using your outside voice inside, look who we have with us. We have Alasia, ATroubledGreen. Thanks for making the time today. You reached out to me first thing this morning to share a lot of the continuing, I would say, missteps on the part of, I would say, these Tolkien fan sites that went to the UK. Why don't, Alasia, if you don't mind, would you remind everybody kind of where this kerfuffle has started and why people are reacting the way that they are?
So just a few days ago, we saw that a lot of the bigger, shall we say, middle of the road, opinionated Tolkien fan groups were invited to Oxford by the showrunners for Rings of Power to see some, I can't remember if they saw full episodes or just edited scenes. I don't know if we ever established what they saw, but regardless, they saw footage from the Rings of Power. And, we were a little concerned about some of the tonally what the tweets were coming out saying, and some of the blogs, which Purple, who's in the chat, shout out to my girl, read to us. And then this morning we got news that the official TV movie poster covers of Lord of the Rings are coming out for the Rings of Power. So it's, again, concerns are valid, and we have them, and we decided to talk about them. You're muted.
I know what I'm doing. Sure. Thank you. European Lore. I noticed you were very vocal, shall we say, this morning in some of your responses to some of these numerous sites. You shared some, I would say, very inside baseball, and without naming who it was, maybe just talk about the tone of some of the messaging you're getting from people. Again, not naming names. Please.
Well, yeah, as I have stated many times before, I know that if one is having a YouTube channel or whatever, one will find oneself in the situations that you are being called something, and of course I've been called a right wing and Eastern phobe, and things like that, things that I don't even talk about in my life, and I don't think that we should drag these names into being fans of Tolkien and literature in general. What I care about, I don't really care about being called anything. I care about only staying true to the law, and that's really basically what my channel is about.
One of the things, obviously, you, sir, are not in the United States. You're not even in North America. You happen to be in Eastern Europe. So using the dynamic of, say, the what we see in America right now from an ideological perspective, you're not an alt-right troll, in my opinion. But, again, maybe that's just a blanket statement. And again, that's not directed at any fan site in particular. It's just that everybody who's here in this chat right now, and a hail to all of you. Thank you for showing up. We have all heard this song before. We know this. We absolutely know this. Let me get into what I sent this morning, which is the reason why this is actually the show is happening. And I have this tweet which we pull up, and I said, we've reached their right wing alt-right troll stage of name calling regarding those skeptical of the Rings of Power and voicing their concerns. It's only May. And I know, Alasia, we brought this up in our last stream. So this is a response from someone named Josh Long. And this what is occurring in some of these larger fan sites. In particular, this is a Twitter thread from Phil Dean. And this person said, all you have to do is check out their Twitter feeds and see what they're sharing, referring to people like myself, Alasia, people that I live stream with, of course, European lore. It says they're almost exclusively sharing right-wing nonsense. What? They're kept angry over things by the outlets they think are news, and they need others to be angry as well. Alasia, I'm going to start with you on this one. Are you just hoping that anything we get from the Lord of the Rings is a disappointment so you can gloat over it? Or I guess what's your real hope with any time anybody touches a property like Tolkien that we're going to get?
My only hope is that it is groundbreaking, it is stunning, it is spectacular, it respects and honors the author's original work. That's all I want. Sorry about my chair. That's all I want. I mean, again, I'm reading Unfinished Tales right now, and Gondolin. Oh my gosh, I would love to see I know it's first stage, but to see Gondolin on camera would just be incredible. Again, if fans truly care about something, they want it to be respected. Me wanting something respected does not make me some horrible troll. I don't understand this obsession with me wanting femininity, not feminist ideology shoved down my throat. And why is that wrong? Again, why should Galadriel not be beautiful and graceful? I'm a woman. I want to see that.
I would agree. European lore, I guess, my point with all this is none of us want anything to fail. But what, in my opinion, I'm not going to do is consume product, cheer next product to consume. I want someone who's going to respect the lore. And here you go. Those of you who know me, you know where I'm going. Wheel of Time. We saw this. We can name this. The showrunner for Wheel of Time threatened the fans with changing the sexuality of characters from Robert Jordan's world because they were critical of his trash non-adaptation. We already saw, and this is the decision made by Payne and McKay, in my opinion, not by us. They called us ists and phobes. They're the ones who came after us because we were concerned, because we weren't seeing Tolkien's world. We were seeing characters created by Payne and McKay. I don't care what characters Payne and McKay come up with. I care about Tolkien's world. And I'm going to just let you run with that European lore. What are your concerns? I don't believe you're a right-wing ideologue. Why do they keep calling us these names?
I don't know. First and foremost, if you look at my Twitter feed or page that I post, you can see, like, I posted Moomin Mama on the Mother's Day. I post pictures of my new action figure, so I don't really know where they came with that. But what I'm concerned about is, they are always taking this Tolkien's quote out of context, that he wanted to leave other minds and hands, such as drama, music, and painting, to, I don't know, expand upon his world, which of course means that a lot of people will understand it the way that, yes, so we can change it, we can adapt it, because everything can be changed, because adaptations, means that anything goes. Well, firstly, Tolkien really wasn't that kind of person. He was a very pedantic man. He was a philologist. He knew very well what he wanted from his stories. But as soon as we venture into this territory that anything can be changed, and we can see it, for example, in the American comic book industry, when every single superhero has been changed into something the superhero has never been, there we find ourselves in the dangerous territory of maybe someday they will want to change the original text. And that's happening more and more today. All the banning, all the censoring, and that's where I do not want to end up, because that is really dangerous.
Yeah, and that is something I've tried to bring up on my shows. I know Maxfield Von Priestley, who I am lucky enough to work with, talks about it, that the on-screen representation of characters, especially those in comic books, but I would also argue from literature. There are a lot of people who did read Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time. It's a 15-book series, in my opinion, one of the top 5 fantasy series ever created. And there are people who have never read those books who think that Robert Jordan's world is what Rafe Judkins put on the screen, which doesn't reflect the story and has nothing but current year sensibilities and forced representation in a story that was very specific about what the characters looked like, their relationships, the age of the characters, but because it was convenient to, in my opinion, push ESG score related changes to the source material, there are people running around who think that this on Amazon is what Robert Jordan's world going to be. Now, Tolkien obviously has a much more significant fan base, and that fan base is global, and it has only started to get angry and started to respond. I've been seeing it, and I'm a small channel in my comments section, and there are people from all over the world. And the one thing they're not doing is they're not saying vote this way or I hate this. What they're saying is respect the source material. If you respect the source material, like Alasia's been saying, and also European lore, there's no problem. The problem is every single image that we have seen from the Rings of Power, in my opinion, doesn't respect the source material. And we seem to be spending an awful lot of time with characters that are inventions to promote and reach corporate representation and diversity scores as opposed to telling a good story. Now, Alasia, is that unfair?
No, not at all. Like, again, going back to my very first live stream with Max, when he asked me to read the tweet that got me banned, blocked by the OneRing.net, I didn't say I was, that I don't like people of a certain ethnic persuasion. I didn't say that I want only one political party to succeed. I said, if I'm blessed enough to have children, I'm going to make them read the books. And that got me blocked. That I wasn't going to fall for their inclusion and diversity agenda. That my kids, and I was going to pass on that love of Tolkien. And that, again, and I'm going to go back to this, and because, I think you're right, the European lore. I think that we do need to be wary of the fact that they might try to change the original text. But right now, it burns them that they can't, and that they can't stop us from buying the complete histories, which I almost have the complete set now. It burns them that I can't, go and get however many copies I want of The Lord of the Rings. That's what gets them. It pisses them off that they actually can't control the narrative as much as they want to. So they only
and they're going to.
Us. Yeah, exactly. So they can only attack us for what they can see right in front of us. They have to spin a yarn in order to make themselves feel better.
Yeah, as Dark Winter says in Hail to You, the showrunner for Wheel of Time deliberately rewrote the books, and his series is based on because he's an egotistical idiot. That's an interesting take. I would say that there are reasons why people like Rafe Judkins was handed a magnificent 15-book fantasy series, despite having no experience with anything even close to that scope, in my opinion. Again, the showrunner for the Wheel of Time was a former contestant on Survivor. Did some work running some Marvel shows that had very mixed reviews and got canceled, was suddenly handed a large fantasy property, immediately took that fantasy property and inserted sexuality changes, gender changes, representation changes, and immediately went on the offensive against the fans who said they didn't like those changes. Here we are with Tolkien. And who got that show? We got Payne and McKay. Everybody beats this horse, but it's true. They got an uncredited writer role for the worst Star Trek movie ever made. They're friends with J.J. Abrams. How did they get this job? Would you give this job to somebody who... Would you give Tolkien to these people? In my opinion, I never would. And thanks a lot, Alasia. So, yeah, let's go ahead. So what I have on screen here is, and this was from Purple Valkyrie, thank you very much. She actually went to the Reddit post for the Rings of Power. And this is a poll that they put up 12 hours ago, as you can see. And what they're doing is this is a site on this Rings of Power and on Reddit where you're not allowed to question. You're not allowed to say bad things about Amazon, about the Rings of Power. So, but they actually put this thing up 12 hours ago, and you can see the choices, Now, we happen to get access to that poll as of about a half an hour ago from Purple Valkyrie, and I will share those results. Now, in my opinion, we're looking at, they're trying to create echo chambers, much like we saw with the Wheel of Time, and blocking people. There was a site called the White Cloaks and things along those lines. Bear with me. I have way too many things open. I don't want to dox Purple. Here we go. So these are the results as of half an hour ago. So out of 1,500 votes, we're looking, it's about half that are so excited and intrigued, and about maybe a little less than half are ambivalent, think it's rubbish, and think it's going to be the worst crap ever. Now, again, this is a curated site with a curated membership. These are not overwhelming, strong, positive numbers. What do you think about that European lore? Are you on this Reddit site? Have you seen anything like this that's occurring within Reddit or other social media sites that mirror what we're finding here?
I have never been to Reddit. I
Fair.
have never ventured into these waters, but from what I saw myself on other social media, is of course hugely people are not excited about the upcoming Rings of Power. What we have seen already, the only positive reactions that I have been observing have come mostly from those fan sites that we have been talking about in our videos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and again, there are some that have reached out to you, and there are some that are reached out to me, and I'm still hoping to have a conversation because there are some of those fan sites that went on this trip that was sponsored by Amazon that got, and we don't know to what extent all of this was subsidized. We don't know what NDAs may or may not be in place. We do know, and again, thanks to Maxfield von Priestley, if you haven't subscribed to him, please check him out. He came and broke this story to me, and then we ran with it the other day, that all of these people seem to have been picked, brought over, wined and dined, and allowed to do karaoke and dancing in the middle of the street over there in the UK. They got to meet with John Garth, a noted Tolkien historian. I learned that on our own live stream, and when it appeared a veil was lifted, all of these Tolkien sites came out with essentially all the same messages, with the same tone and the same pictures. Now, there were a couple that said it looks great, but we still have significant concerns. And like I said, I'm not here to rage farm. Why we're talking about this stuff today is that there has been an escalation in the last 48 hours within those Twitter feeds. And the name calling on us and the calling of us as right-wing fans has started again. Now, where have we all seen this before, guys? Does anybody remember any other properties where if you didn't like it, you were called names?
Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I missed out on that. Yeah. I wasn't on Twitter when that was happening, so I found out about that after the fact. So this is the first time that I've been on the receiving end of this. But Tolkien is something that's a line you don't cross, and they can call me anything they want.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. I think a lot of us who were Star Wars fans said, you know what, they're never going to cross that line with Star Wars. Well, they did. And they kept doing it after The Last Jedi. And it wasn't because we're afraid of strong women, and it's not because of Orange Man bad, and it's not because of that. It's because you made a crap movie. You made a crap movie that was filled with the Force's female ideology and disrespected my boy Luke Skywalker, and it was an incoherent story. No one's afraid of strong women. What we're afraid of is being lied to by the people that we have put in trust of things that we love. And that's the problem. And the only song and dance they have here, we can see it. And this is going back a couple of years, guys. It's alt-right troll. But it didn't stop there now, did it? We got a lot more of a lot of remakes to this same song, didn't we? Let me just pull a couple things up here.
Well, one happened just 2 weeks ago with a very popular Norse movie that just came out.
Oh, I am.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you guys vamp for me a second while I pull that one up, because I think that one's probably the most egregious one.
Yeah. Before you pull it out, can I just say one more thing about the Star Wars thing?
Yes.
I am maybe the latest person in the world who could be called a right-wing something connected with Star Wars, because I actually extremely enjoyed The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, Rogue One, and Solo. Because I am a Star Wars fan who is very much different from Tolkien fan. I am very easy to be pleased with Star Wars. I just need a quality-made product, which the Disney trilogy, the sequels, they were not. Absolutely not.
And again, this is part of the reason I wanted to bring European lore on. We have never worked together. I was talking, this gentleman and we connected on Twitter about 10 minutes before the show we popped on. I checked his levels. No one is telling European lore what to say, what to think, or what to do, other than to not curse in the middle of the day because Mama Susan will smack me. But, we are not an echo chamber. That there are no Russian trolls here. There are no alt-right whatevers. We are fans, and we love our fandoms. And in the case of European lore, he likes things that I don't like, and that's okay. And nobody's calling him names. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how the only people who seem to be calling us names are over there?
Mhm.
I don't know, Alasia, what's your take on that? This is the article you referenced. And
Yeah.
of course, if we're not alt-white trolls, we're white supremes. If we like something. It's like, run with this a little bit, please, because this is so ridiculous,
It
guys.
is. You know, and it's funny, you know, being a historian, my university has a very strong medieval department, and the level to which they're rewriting that every single person in medieval Europe was not white, in fact, but from Africa, all of them. I mean, I think even at this point, Bede himself was from, I don't know, Ethiopia or something. The level to which they're rewriting history to, in effect, fight against this very narrative so that, you know, all right-wing groups can't bastardize like someone like Finn McCool from Ireland is just nauseating. So this is coming, particularly this is coming from universities, because medieval European scholarship in the US is being rewritten to say that pretty much every single person in Europe was actually not white, but of other ethnic persuasions. So this is on such a deep level for me, where scholarship is concerned. It's deeply troubling, but it's also just like, you have to also like, really that's what you got? Okay.
Yeah, and again, why I pulled the Northman up, and we've talked about this for the last couple of weeks. A lot of us, like that I work with, are super excited about this movie. I was certainly excited about it. This movie, I think, threatened the status quo. And I think this movie had the potential to point out that the ESG score forced representation ideology behind these things, which at this point, it's undeniable, right? That this movie came out, was historically accurate, castingly accurate to the historical time. And I think they were so terrified of somebody making a faithful adaptation in a world of absolutely unfaithful adaptations that this is the result that we got. Now, European lore, did you see, not to spend a lot of time on it, but did you see The Northman? Any thoughts on that, sir?
No, I'm afraid I'm a lone wolf. I don't really go to cinema anymore. I have to wait until the DVD comes out.
Cheers. Understood. Yeah. So, the big quote in this about the Northman, and this comes from the director himself, the macho stereotype of that history, of course, speaking about the Vikings, along with, the right-wing misappropriation of Viking culture, made me sort of allergic to it, and I never wanted to go there. I never looked at Viking culture as being appropriated by right wing. I know any lunatic can grab onto anything, whether it's Mickey Mouse or a can of tuna fish, and make it an icon for something. And in this case, I'm wondering when we're going to see people using this same argument and saying that Tolkien is being misappropriated by the alt right. It's coming, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Let me get back. All right, let me get into some of these super chats. I don't have Zach's here to kick me under the table. First of all, I want to say hail to all of you. Hail to everyone in chat. We have 37 people with no notice. Thank you very much for showing up today. If you haven't subscribed, please take a look at Alasia, ATroubledGreen, as well as European lore. We're not an echo chamber. We're not rage farming. We are hoping that these Tolkien fan sites maybe tune in and hear us, and instead of blocking us on Twitter, and I'm going to bring up a couple of those cases because I'm suddenly blocked by people. I wonder why. We'd like to have a dialogue about this. And I think the issue is if we have this dialogue, we will very quickly see that they cannot give us the answers they have for some reason. Let me get to this super chat from Lyle Hemmick. Brother, it's great to see you. One of my Tavern. Hail. Channel members says, hail all. I have a question for European lore. This one's directed at you, European lore. Do you think there is a way for this series to work? Because I think it can if done well. Although I'm sure you disagree, with great respect for your work. That's from Lyle Hammock. European lore, hold that thought. I am going to give a super chat video for my good friend, Lyle Hammock. This one is for you, brother.
We travel light. That is handsome walk.
European lore, I will go ahead and bring that chat back up for you to address it. So, do you think, sir, there is a way for this to work?
Hey, Lyle Hammock. Sure. Everything is possible, and especially nowadays, the filmmakers, they have such a perfect technology, right? They can make people who are old, they can make them young by using computers, and they are getting better and better with all this. Well, they did it with Luke Skywalker, right, in the Book of Boba Fett. So they can make anything, but the situation in the entertainment industry is that they are really all getting away from being faithful to source material, and they are not really focusing on good storytelling. They are focusing on other things that should, of course, be incorporated into works of art, but not in the first place. So I think that it could work if it was done 20 years ago.
I agree with that. Alasia, what's your take on that? Do you think there's a way that what do you think of wait a minute. We now have representation. No one can tell me that my show and doing things like this, we have international representation, not just from Czechoslovakia, but now also from Canada. My good friend Zax, welcome on board, brother.
Hey, thanks. I just made it.
Sweet. No, you're fine. It's all good. So yeah, Alasia, if you want to go ahead and respond to that, what do you think? What do you think we're gonna get?
Here's the thing, and I don't mean to be like one of these people who like says, "Oh, my opinions were swayed by people on YouTube, by people I follow on Twitter, by people who want to hate on everything." No, let me be very clear. I didn't find like this section of the internet, people who do this YouTube thing, I didn't find them until 2020 when Gina Carano was being attacked. When I heard that Amazon had bought the rights to this, what was it, 2017, I believe? When I heard that they bought the rights in 2017, when I hardly even knew that this whole YouTube thing was a thing, I was upset then because I knew then that it was going to be a train wreck. I was concerned the moment I heard it happen. As far as it working right, like the hints that we have been dropped up until this point, I just don't see it working. From a devout fan base perspective, for the normies, I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure they'll love it. I'm sure they'll consume it, and then they'll move on with their lives. The fact of the matter is, I think that comes down to whether you deeply respect and you love Tolkien's lore. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you've just seen Jackson's trilogy or you've read every single book like I'm attempting to do. For us, no, I don't think it'll work because we're going to see right through the curtain. For the normies, probably, but I can't change that. So I don't know. In my view, it's a two-edged sword.
Zax, what's your take on this, especially having gone through Wheel of Time with me? That's how Zax and I met. That's how my channel came to be. Was again, I formed my own opinions on Wheel of Time. I wasn't watching any other big channels. I deliberately didn't watch what other people were making about Wheel of Time because I wanted to give my takes on it. And I'm going to be doing the same thing with The Lord of the Rings. I will collaborate with other people that I work with on a panel, but I don't steal other people's stuff and run with those talking points. Zax, what's your take on this?
I'm not surprised at all by this, and this is the tactic used by people who have no argument, and that's name calling, slander, and labeling, and that's exactly what they're doing. They've done it before. It's all they can go to on this one, and because what they could say to us is tell us what they liked about those viewings, or even if one of them sort of diverged more from the others on hey, do they love these guys? Do they love what they've seen so far? And nothing. It's all been almost all monotonous.
Yeah, and a lot of the same language used over and over again, and nothing. It was very bland, generic praise, and with the exception of some of those fan sites that are out there. And I've talked about them before. And again, please reach out to me. Part of the reason why we're doing this is we really want to understand why you're unable to speak. Now, if you're under an NDA, does your NDA say you can't say that you're under an NDA? I mean, like, I don't know how all this stuff works. It seems a little crazy. Let me get to this super chat, by the way. This is from Lunky Stray Dog. Hail to you. It's great to see you today. For $10, says, I fail to allow anyone to dictate to me who I call a hero. What stories I will admire. My mind is free. I may be a dog, but I am no pet. Listen to this, dropping some hardcore scripture right here. Lunky Dog, it is fantastic to see you. Let's speak about that, but I'm going to give you a hardcore gangster Lord of the Rings video for that one.
Now for wrath, now for ruin, and the red dawn.
So I'm going to bounce to you on that one, Alasia. You seem to be one of those free-thinking, problematic women who would fall into the same vein as Gina Carano. You seem to not be the type of strong, independent woman that these transnational corporations and their ESG score entertainment want.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Do you like when people tell you what to think and that if you have wrong think to cancel you?
No, I do not respond well to being told what I can and cannot think. And, I am very much this woman. I'm an anti-feminist. I will scream it from the rooftops. The patriarchy does not exist. This is something the left has made up. But I also know that there are just cranky people out there who like to tell people what they shouldn't do. I roll my eyes and I continue on with my day. I don't let it get to me, but don't think that I'm just going to be like, oh, okay, I'll just go back in my corner and just make sure that your fifis feel good. No, I don't. I will form my own opinions. I like hearing other people's takes. I like hearing a different perspective than my own. But no, you're not telling me what to think. Thanks.
How does shame work on you? How do you feel when, let's say, Tolkien fan sites block you for expressing concerns? How does that make you feel? Because you're also an academic, you're very accomplished in that sense. How do you feel about that? And then we'll move on to European lore.
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't care. It's funny. I told theonering.net, be very careful because the snake will eat itself. Well, lo and behold, the snake started eating itself when they put out a poorly worded tweet, and all of their allies came at them. I honestly, it's sad because coming from university, they say that they're the bastions of holding a dialogue and holding a conversation, when in every single turn, they make it perfectly clear that is the exact opposite of what they want. So I don't care that theonering.net blocked me, and I don't care if any of these other sites block me. If they want to make an echo chamber, you are more than welcome to. That is your right.
Yeah.
Don't expect me though to go sit in a corner. I'm going to keep doing exactly what I'm doing, and if that makes you mad, tough.
Yeah, I tell you what, and I keep saying this, have a dialogue with us. I know that I've reached out to talk to other larger YouTube channels who say that it really will only blow up in anyone's face to sit down with these people, because if we try and put them in the corner, we can be maligned as being, we weren't being fair and things along those lines, and we made them uncomfortable and all those other things. But I think at a certain point, if we have a respectful panel conversation like I've been trying to put together here, I don't think there's really far to run from the fact that these are our concerns. They're articulated. Calling me a racist isn't going to change that. I wonder about the absurdity of doing that, because those labels simply aren't working. Let me get to this super chat real quick. This is from Psychodwarf9. This is somebody I know through Purple Valkyrie's channel. Hail to you, Psychodwarf9. It's a $2 super chat. Says, when the message Trump's story, dumpster fire. Boy, where have we seen that? Wasn't there this show? It was on BBC. There was a man who was in a box. He traveled through time. Let me give you this one. This is for you, Psycho Dwarf 9.
I am no man.
Yeah, it really wasn't until Payne and McKay that in their representation of a strong independent women that we had any strong independent female characters in Tolkien's universe, obviously. This is a $20 super chat from Lyle Hammock. Brother, thank you. Says, I appreciate what you all have said, and I'm not normie. My daughter is named for and it's true. He shared this with us. Lyle Hammock's daughter is named for the first queen of Numenor. I love Tolkien as much as anyone, but I think this series, if it follows what I think, it could be enjoyable, and that's all that we want. Just again, European lore. I don't agree on things. Alasia and I don't agree on things. Zax and I, Purple Max, we are not an echo chamber. It may be enjoyable, but much like with Wheel of Time, I'm raising the alarm because Wheel of Time was so destroyed and distorted that it was completely unenjoyable. And those of you who followed me through it know the reasons why I have an issue, Lyle, and I want you to enjoy it. I want it to be enjoyable for people, is that I'm afraid that Wheel of Time was the testing ground to insert ideology and ESG scores and forced corporate mandates into a fantasy property to its utter ruin. Now, Zax, I haven't talked to you in a while, but I mean, what's your feeling on this? We don't want to rain on anybody's parade. Lyle, I want this to be good. Zax, what's your perspective on this?
I want it to be good, and even if it's not good, I don't care if people like it. I like the people like things that are sometimes bad. I like things that are sometimes bad. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't want to yuck anyone's yum, as it's been said before, but I'm going to be honest
Ooh.
about how I feel about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and me too. What's your take on this European lore as well? I mean, none of us on this panel want this to not be good. Can we just say this? I mean, in case it's not obvious, I want this to be good. I will take maybe a half step below Hobbit good. If we can get there, I will be satisfied. Go ahead, European lore.
Yeah, sure. There are 7 billion people in the world. It would be nonsense if everybody liked the same thing. The issue here is that some people are more learned in the lore and the history of Tolkien and where he came from than other people. And some people want different things from the show than other people. Myself, I may have mentioned it on my channel a couple of times before. I come from a university background. I've got 2 degrees in English and Old English, and I've been cancelled just a year before I got my PhD because of socio-political reasons, because there was no place for me to publish on Old English literature. So not only I've studied Tolkien and his fiction, but his academic background. I know Old English. I have self-learned the language. So it is quite obvious that I will want something different from a potential show than people who just like Peter Jackson's films or who have never seen anything like that.
I heard European lore's experience, and thank you for sharing that. I didn't realize that had occurred, and I do know that you have some incredible scholarship. And again, we are not an echo chamber here. European lore and I don't agree on everything, and neither does Alasia, and certainly Zax and I don't, although Zax should probably listen to me more. But Alasia, what did you hear in your own academic experience? Because it sounds very, in my opinion, eerily reminiscent to your experience in academia, and especially in your Tolkien scholarship.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm a modern Irish historian. I cover the civil rights movement, the Troubles, the housing crisis in Derry, Northern Ireland. That's what I do. So that's my specialty. Although I did take English classes that I got in an English class. I got called a whiteist for wearing my hair in a French braid, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I have bowed out of my PhD, and I was very quietly canceled. There's a difference between being canceled on Twitter and being very quietly canceled. Being quietly canceled is they pretend like you don't exist anymore. They just forget you're even a human being, and they never contact you again. Whatever, it's fine. I have found a new group of people that I have a dialogue with. But they in English classes they talk about wanting to decanonize the entirety of Western literature, which means Moby Dick, The Scarlet Letter, Jane Austen, Mary Shelley, all of it. They want to because they're white. That's literally the only reason why. And there's not enough women, even though Jane Austen and Mary Shelley are in there. They're white, so they're problematic. They want to decanonize that entire thing. So anyone who comes out and says, I enjoy those things, you are automatically on the no-go list.
Yeah, and here's the thing. We covered it on my show, I think it was 2 weeks ago, where the BBC deliberately omitted From the Queen of England, she has been reigning for 70 years, the longest reigning monarch in modern history. I am not making an editorial about her at all. I'm just saying that's a fact. As part of a celebration of the literature that was released during her 70-year reign, a decision was made to remove 2 authors from that list. And now this is of the last 70 years of Great Britain, of the UK. Who were the best writers? J.K. Rowling was not on the list, and we all know why, because people are insane. And the other one was J.R.R. Tolkien. How can you look at what's happening here and not see that there's a pattern? It's not a tinfoil hat when you smell smoke in a fire. That's for a fire. There's a fire, and people who say that there's no fire, they're not your friends. And I would say we're in the middle of a very large cultural fire. Lyle Hammock, I believe, Zach's, I owe him still a video for that. Is that true? I think I do. This is for you, Lyle, from the heart.
For Frodo.
Sometimes the quiet things that are said are heard the loudest. In that case, that's, I think, one of the most powerful scenes in Return of the King. And Lyle Hammock again with, dude, thank you for a $5 super chat. I can talk. Super chat says, I'm going to send my theory based on what I think the story is to me via email. Also, make no mistake, the moment I think this show is garbage, I will say so. Lyle, please, no one is attacking you. We want you to be right. Like, we really, really want you to be right. And above all, I want everybody to be able to enjoy things. All of us want one thing. We want escape.
Yeah.
For me, the perspective that I have is that I have watched since probably 2015 our escape be diluted and diluted and diluted with a poison.
Yeah.
That to me, it's about agenda. It's about certain things that they're trying to push that involves taking of our wages through taxation. It is about deconstructing and fragmenting Western civilization. It is about, like Alasia talked about, removing people based on their race. There's a word for that, and it is called racism, guys. And just because those people happen to look a certain way, that's still racism. Anyway, Lyle, I would love if you sent me that theory, and we should actually maybe record something on that. Alasia, did you have a response to to this?
I want to say something. And Steve Kenobi, you're in chat. Dude, don't roast me and don't block me for saying this. But because he will.
Hail, brother. Hail, Steve.
No, Steve
I know.
is great.
Hail,
Steve is so great, and I love his takes. But don't block me. I'm just asking that, or I will get Lady G. And I said this on my live stream this past Sunday. I don't hate The Last Jedi as much as everyone else, and I have very particular reasons for that. It's not a good movie. I'm not saying it's a good movie, and I'm not saying it's perfect by any means. There are problems with it. Absolutely. I hate what they did to Luke, all the things, but I don't hate it as much as some people do. And there are aspects of that show, or the movie, that I actually really did love. Again, it's just sections of it. There's just like snippets of it. So, I mean, even if I watch this to review it, to give my opinion on it, I don't want to beat myself up on, if, like, say Gil-galad, say if Lyndon is really beautifully done, like from a movie standpoint, if that world is done really well, I'm not going to beat myself up and saying, like, you know what, they did a really good job on Lyndon or whatever it is. I don't want to just hate something just because I'm being told to hate something, and no one's telling me to do anything. Like I said, I'm a quite stubborn woman, but I also don't. Like, you shouldn't feel bad if there's like something within the show that you do that does resonate with you. But again, it comes down to the 22 fabricated characters. Steve, okay, fine. It's the 22 fabricated characters and the fact that they are changing the characterization of the characters we know and love, like Elrond.
I would agree. Zax, what's your take on that?
Sorry, we've got another super chat here I wanted to pull up from Purple Valkyrie.
Pull it up.
Yeah.
Please.
It's for 5 Great Britain pounds, I think is what it is. And this is about the book list, and it's on the BBC Big Read Top 100, Book 1, The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien, How Things Have Changed.
It's true, and that's one of the things that we talked about. I think it was 2 weeks ago when Purple shared that. And hail to you, thanks for modding. That is one of the things that we talked about. Is these books are popular within the culture. It's number one. Obviously, it is. I think second only behind the Bible as far as circulation and printing. I forget how many languages it's in. I believe it's close to the upper 60s of different languages. There are people all over the globe that love Tolkien and have loved Tolkien long before someone named Payne and McKay were ever born. And what I'm seeing in my comment section, and again, I'm a small and up and coming YouTuber, is that this show has awoken a kind of avalanche or a deluge of fans who are here to say you will go no further. And I think Amazon knows that. And they, instead of just calling us racists and phobes like showrunners did back in February, we all remember those articles. You guys remember that? Okay. Sorry, I just said something pop on the private chat. But European lore, what's your perspective from there in Czechoslovakia with a lot of the Tolkien fans that are in Europe or Eastern Europe in particular? What is the sentiment toward what Amazon is doing?
Yeah, well, first, if I can, I'll be the actually guy. The Czechoslovakia doesn't exist anymore. We separated in 1993.
Sorry,
It's the Czech Republic.
I was there.
Yeah,
Sorry, I've been there. I'm a dumb
okay.
yank. I'm a dumb yank.
It's
Sorry.
okay. And also, it's really Central Europe. But now I'm done being the actually guy, and I have to say that I do agree about the Last Jedi statement. I remember one scene that I actually liked, and that was with Master Yoda. Read them, have you? That one I enjoyed. If it was even in the Last Jedi, I think so. All right.
That was really good. That was really good. That
Yeah,
was a
thanks.
good Yoda.
I'm sorry. What was the question?
I don't remember
Yeah.
because I got distracted by Yoda. No, somebody help me bounce this one over here. What were we talking about? Because I'm trying to run a couple different things. I think what we were talking about is no one wants. Oh, what I was saying is how has the response been in Central and Eastern Europe to what Amazon has been doing on a groundswell? Are people rebelling against this? Are people just ambivalent about it? I guess. Where I guess what have you seen as far as the response goes to Amazon and the showrunners calling us phobes for not liking what they're doing to the source material?
You know, I am half Czech, half Polish. I speak with people from Slovakia as well, and we here, the Central European, the Slavs, really, we are all very conservative people as far as traditions and folklore goes. So not really good. I have spoken with people who are very violently against the idea of the Rings of Power, and I always make my videos, even if it doesn't look like it, I make them family friendly. I never swear, I never curse. I of course I mock everything and everybody I like because it's just the way I am. But I am very tame in comparison with the other people in my country.
Yeah, hail to you. My brother lives in Eastern Europe and is a lifelong Tolkien fan, and there are a lot of people in that Eastern European country who love Tolkien very, very much. As a matter of fact, it was one of the things that helped them survive an utterly corrupt and death-dealing system of government called communism. And spoiler alert how that idea goes, but Tolkien was essential in giving people hope. And let me get to this super chat real quick. This is from Psycho Dwarf 9 for $5. Hey, hail. Thank you for that. Says their worst sin, making hate fashionable and mental illness a requirement. I'm going to go ahead and give you a graphic on that one, and then we will jump to Alasia on the response to that. This one's for you.
Not a lot. Go hit him!
Hail to you again, Psycho Dwarf 9. Let's go ahead and start out with Alasia and then bounce to European lore. It does seem, and the reason why I ran with wanting to do this video today was that I am seeing a lot of hate is not too strong a word. I'm seeing blocking, I'm seeing demeaning, and that's fine. I mean, first of all, it's Twitter. So that's just a normal day, right? It's a day that ends in a Y. But in this case, these are the very fans that help propel and were active on multiples of these fan sites. And there are several of them. To have these fan sites essentially turn on them and say, just trust us, stop saying this, and to have other people start calling us alt-right trolls and we're spreading alt-right philosophies for the millionth time because we don't like the source material being mutilated. What is your take on this? Has we really reached a place where Tolkien is essentially as bad as we think it is? Or I guess, what do you think on this?
So on the making hate fashionable part, or
all of it, any of that?
Yeah, I have to agree with that. And, you know, and it's, the thing is when I left university, I had censored myself for 10 years and I had bitten my tongue, and I had heard professors, fellow students say the most horrible things about young women and what young conservative women and what they deserved. I mean, some things that should wind you up in front of a judge, and professors didn't do anything about it. So it makes, it's not surprising that someone on Twitter now has the gall to say some of the things they do, and that they run blockchains. It doesn't surprise me at all. But you know, again, the big fan sites, they don't try to rein in these people. They don't try and say like, hey, let's be respectful, let's have a discussion. None of that. They don't try to do any of that. Yeah, absolutely. You know, they have been deconstructing Tolkien for the past 10 years. They've called him a colonizer, they've called him an imperialist, they've called him all the things under the book. But the thing is, it's flown under the radar, I think, for a lot of people because it stayed in the university system. It stayed in the White Tower of academia. Yeah. Now it's on the ground. And now people who have not been in university for 25 years and read the books maybe 10 years, 15 years ago are like, excuse me, what? It woke up a dragon that they didn't realize was there because it's been staying in the White Tower of academia.
Yeah, and I talk about it a lot because I was there in the early 90s, and Zach's will go to the super chat as soon as I finish talking, but I was there in the beginning in the early 90s when I saw what was called PC culture. Now, I'm 52. A lot of those people I went to school with that stayed in academia, they became professors, and I know some of them still. They ascribe to all of these same ideologies, and this is ideology. And it is a sense that capitalism is bad, men are bad, all of these things that we say in generalities. You're not imagining things. The problem is that you're speaking up about not liking them, and that's why they're calling us names. Zach, go ahead and take that super chat, please.
Yeah, this is $10 from Lyle Hammock, who is a great supporter of the channel. Hey, Lyle and the little hammocks. I am an optimistic person by nature, maybe to a fault. My wife says my most enduring and annoying trait. I just hate that so much of our optimism is being destroyed by what we love. It's disheartening.
I agree, and it's one of the hardest things in the world is to get on a channel and talk about how bad things are. I mean, it's not fun to do, but that's why we're trying to mix it up with my show and talk about more positive things and have some fun with things, because we don't want this to fail. I don't want the Rings of Power to not be good. I didn't want the Rings of Power to not be good. I mean, I didn't want the Wheel of Time to not be good. I didn't want Star Wars to become what it was, but I'm not enabling. And I'm not a codependent, and I refuse to stay in an abusive relationship with any studio or creatives who are going to treat me in something that I love like this. So Lyle, I am 100% on your team. I hope we get something that people enjoy, and if it's enjoyable, I will eat crow. I absolutely will. Thank you so much for speaking up. We are on the same team, brother. We always will be. And this is a place where we have true diversity, and that diversity has nothing to do with superficial qualities. It has to do with the ability to like European lore, like Alasia, like Zax, and we have someone who joined us, Stieg Kenobi. We don't all see the same things. Stieg, why don't you go ahead and talk about this and your optimism and where you're at? Thanks for joining.
Oh, I'm not a very optimistic person in general lately, but well, it's true what you're saying though, that it's always more fun to talk about stuff you like, which is what me and Teresa have been doing for the last year, really.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with the book streams and all that. But it's with Tolkien
It's a
and
lot.
Wheel of,
It's
yeah,
a
it's
lot.
it's
Yeah.
it's like it's almost like systematically the stuff you really enjoy is being taken away from you.
It's
You know,
being idealized. That's the thing. Is
yeah,
strip out the ideology. I mean, in the problems. See, and I believe there are many large channels that have said this. I always think about Gary from Nerdrotic and also Critical Drinker have said this. That the fans haven't changed. We haven't. We love the source material. We love those stories. What has changed is what they're giving to us as fans. And suddenly we as the customers, we have as the consumers of this product, because we are rejecting this strenuously, the insert of ideology of any other nonsense, whatever it is. They don't have any other response but to call us names. And that's why I wanted to make the show today, was to say that here we are with Tolkien. A lot of these sites that were supposed to be our advocates are now shutting down our voices and calling us names. And I would like to say, guys, stop. All right, because this is, you are alienating the people who made you what you are. And we need someone to be an advocate for the fans. And I don't think you want Salty Texas Sea to be this lone wolf on a mountain howling like a wild man, or anybody else on YouTube. We need you Tolkien groups to stand up for us. Go ahead.
well, it's you know, it seems to be that, or rather the narrative that as long as your skin color is represented, you are represented, right? Which
Well,
is kind of like,
it's the
if
physical attributes and
yeah,
sexuality and ideology. I don't mean to interrupt you, Stig. I'm going to let you continue. European Lore just told me he has to bail. European Lore, first of all, I want to say thank you very much for coming on the show today on such short notice. I look forward to working together in the future, good sir. Where can people find you? What have you got going on before we send you out?
I thank you very much indeed, and I am looking forward to other cooperations and streams like this. You know, I don't really do these things very often, so I'm very troublesome to get hold to. But yeah, thanks. All right, so if you there are of course many more mocking and entertaining takes of European Lore on my channel at YouTube,
Yeah.
European Lore, and you can also find me at Twitter under the same name. Very easy.
Can I, European Lore, thank you. You and I have been playing tag for months, and I really
Yeah.
appreciate you just jumping. First of all, thank you for trusting me. Thank you for your faith, and thank you for your time. And anybody want to say anything to European Lore before he heads out the door?
I just want to
I'm a
thank you.
fan. I'm a fan. I want to say that I love your
Thanks.
stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank you for standing up for like traditional, especially I've heard you talk about traditional gender roles on your channel. So we need more of that voice out there. So I want to say thank you for that, because it's like, oh, okay, so it's okay to be feminine. So you know, being a girl in this world who's like super feminine is tough, but it's becoming easier because more and more people are speaking out again, you know, about that. So hail to you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. You know, it really only takes very simple things. I love women and I'm not afraid of them. I think that all this gender things that they are changing or trying to suppress femininity in entertainment has to do with the fact that that they are afraid of femininity, which I don't understand why. But this is all from me. I'm sorry, I won't be taking any much of your time.
No, European Lord, you don't have to apologize. Again, thank you for showing up.
Thank you.
If we haven't dropped the links in the chat, we will drop them for European Lord. Thank you for your voice. Thank you, Zax. European Lord, thank you. And please reach out. I'd love to return the favor and come on your channel. Have a great day, sir. Thank you so much.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Well, that was fantastic. Again, we are not an echo chamber here. European Lore and I don't agree on everything, just like Alasia and Zax, and I'm sure Steve Kenobi. We have just crossed over an hour, and I don't want to cut anybody off, but this is as long as I can go today. I would love to continue this conversation later at another point during this week, even if it's on someone else's channel. Zax, are we all caught up on Super Chats? I believe I owe somebody a Lord of the Rings video.
You do, and we have one more left that just came up from Taker 610.
Okay.
I'll pull it up for you here.
All right. So this one I believe goes out. I'm gonna guess it's Lyle Hammock. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Lyle, this one's for you, and get ready for Alasia to get the vaporous a little bit.
You should have stayed dead.
Never fails.
I know. Alasia and Elrond sitting in a tree. K-I-S-S-I. All right, never mind.
I'm not killing Brienne.
So thank you very much, and let me get to this super chat, and then Stieg, we'll get some of your closing thoughts. Thank you, Taker610, longtime supporter of this channel, longtime commenter, even before I was monetized, says, to understand this woke mindset, consider a writer at the Washington Post just said the name George Washington University is racist and has to change. It is a hallmark of Marxism to remove a country's history in order to make them forget. And one could look at that statement, and one could look at what's happening in our entertainment with the erasing and changing of things to fit a certain narrative and wonder, are these two things connected? I don't know. Let me go ahead and give you a video on the way out, and we will start wrapping this one up. I have said it a couple different times, but I think that people are going to look at the Hobbit trilogy, much maligned, should have been 2 movies, still a beautiful, beautiful story, just a little bloated. I think we're all going to appreciate Peter Jackson's The Hobbit in a whole new way after The Rings of Power. I wish that wasn't the case. Let's go ahead and start wrapping up here, but Stieg, in closing, what is it that I guess, oh my God, Lyle Hammock. I guess, Stieg, where are you at with this? Have you been paying attention to this fan site blocking and banning? Where are you at with these people that went to this paid for Amazon thing that seem to be all just repeating the same talking points?
Well, they're basically just shilling for access, But
yeah,
it's as simple as that. But what I was saying about the that you can only be represented by a skin color, basically. But if you're that sort of person, maybe you're only skin deep to begin with.
That's it. And maybe that's a them problem and not a me problem. And not a Tolkien fan problem. Yeah, they're inflicting their in my opinion, I think what we're seeing is people who are developmentally and emotionally stunted inflicting their worldview on a property that they cannot relate to in the same way that we can. And I pity them for that. I do, but also get out of my property, because there's a reason why we love it. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, well, one of my all-time favorite movies when I was a kid, right? And I watched this probably 200 times. It's Beverly Hills Cop. I'm not an African-American cop from Detroit. I was not represented in any way in that movie.
How could you enjoy that movie?
I don't know. I'm not supposed to.
Maybe
did.
It was the good writing. Maybe it was the good writing. Maybe it was relatable. Maybe when you're talented and you make a product that anybody can enjoy, whether it's a song or a movie or a book written in 1938 by a Caucasian man in Europe, that people all around the world who look and act and sound and worship and love very differently all loved.
Yeah, it's
just a thought.
If I'm reading a story and I'm sitting here wanting that story to be about me, then that's narcissism.
Yes, it is.
It's about the fictional characters doing whatever they have to do. It's not about me. It's not about,
I agree.
What I would have done if I was there. That's just for afterthought anyway.
We're going to close the show out with Lyle Hammock here, and this is a $5 super chat. Dude, thank you. And I'm going to look for your email, and again, look for the box I sent. Also, wish me luck. I am about to, and look at that pop-up. Thank you, Alasia. Also, wish me luck. I am about to conquer the last Tolkien work I haven't read. Morgoth's Ring. ATroubledGreen and European lore will understand. Speak to that real quick, Alasia, and after I give Lyle this, which one do we want to close the show out with? One of my favorite ones.
We travel light. That's handsome, Borg.
Oh, look at that toxic masculinity that enjoys hunting and weapons.
Give it to me all.
Problematic. Yeah, I know. Alasia, what's your take on Morgoth's Ring? And we'll wrap up this wonderful show. We've had such a great amount of people. Thank you all.
I haven't gotten to Jesus, sorry. I haven't gotten to Morgoth's Ring yet, but I know it's something to tackle, and that's what Literary Soul Sisters is for, our Saturday stream. So yeah, trust me, when we get there, we'll be taking it nice and slow because I know it's going to be a bit of a heavy slog, but I'm excited. So I wish you luck. Do it.
And thank you for that, Lyle. I will wait and watch A Troubled Green and Untamed Mando discuss those things. A Troubled Green, shout out your channel. Where can people find you?
Yes, they can find me at A Troubled Green on all of my social media. My Bookstagram account is A Troubled Green's Library, and I am slowly but surely building all the things, and I've got some exciting things coming out, so stay tuned.
Outstanding. Let's go ahead and go to Steve Kenobi. Thank you, first of all, for jumping on short notice. I'm sorry that we ran out of runway here, but we're probably a little over. I need to be somewhere. So, Steve, where can people find you? I'd love to work with you again, by the way, brother.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Well, I'm actually not a YouTuber. I got dragged on YouTube a few years ago, and I couldn't get away. So I just stayed. But usually you'll find me on Miss Martin Muses' channel. For the basically nerdy stuff, we did a Pirates of the Caribbean stream yesterday, or I'm on Jade Shadow some Wednesdays for the Cringe Factory, where we just blow off steam at the stupidity. It's therapy, really. It hurts though. It hurts. Holy crap.
It does hurt. I know, but you got to let it out. You got to let it out sometimes, because if you internalize it, it becomes depression. And that's the thing. Why sometimes we need to make fun of things or to vent is if you keep internalizing all of that, it becomes depression. And we've had enough things happen in the last couple of years to make us feel that we don't need to keep doing that anymore, do we? It's wonderful to see you, Steve. Thank you so much for being here. Let's go ahead and let's talk about Zax.
Hey, I'm glad I got to join here, even though it was late. Thanks for having me as usual. Chat was awesome, and I can be found at Zax7 on YouTube. You can search me. My link is in the chat. Alasia's link is in the chat. Purple Valkyrie's link is in the chat, so check us out, please.
Absolutely. And I will go ahead. Obviously, if you're here, you found me. If you haven't subscribed, I'd love to have, I'm going to borrow it from a very large YouTuber and say, I hope I've earned your subscription and continue to earn that. I am fortunate enough to work with wonderful content creators like Zax, like A Troubled Green, like Stieg, like European Lore, also Maxfield Von Priestley, Purple Valkyrie. I am very lucky to be in this fellowship, and I hope that I am representing your concerns. If there's something you want to hear about or an element of this that you want to talk about, I am on social media. Also, my email is available within my channel, so I'd love to hear from you. Let's close this out with a quote from Purple Valkyrie. Who says, "Have a great day all." Quote, "Darkness must pass. A new day will come. And when the sun rises, it will shine out the clearer."
Purple's such a good writer.
I know. I know. The words of Tolkien, defending Tolkien and conveying why I did this chat, and just thank you guys. So I am going to go ahead, and because I don't have a lot of things set up, I just want to say thank you. Be sure to check out all the great content creators on this channel. This Friday night, Zax and I will be doing a late night show at 10 o'clock Central, where we will be doing some fun stuff that is very upbeat and positive, maybe a little karaoke, depending on who's there. You all have a great rest of the week. We're getting there. Thank you so much for the super chats. Take care. Bye, everybody. As ever, this is Salty Texas Sea. I am Corey DB. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you've seen and heard, please hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed, I'd love to have you on board. That way you know. And we have things like live streams, which we are going to be doing every Tuesday evening. Take care. I hope you're having a great 2022.